Good morning, welcome to another video with a guy and his projects. Today we are working on the 2000, I don't even know what this is. I think it's a 2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with the Quadratec 2 transfer case, four-wheel drive all the time, whatever. It's a WJ and we finally have an engine. So I bought this WJ from a guy at work because the engine was blown. He didn't want to put money into it. It's actually in pretty good condition. It's got 260,000 miles, I believe, according to the Carfax. I haven't actually powered it up. There's no battery. I haven't even turned the key. But it's pretty good condition for 260,000 miles in South Dakota. From what I can tell on the outside, I haven't picked it up on the lift yet. We're going to do that right now. And then we're going to start tearing things apart and getting the engine out. Really, the only things wrong that I can tell visually is some cracked headlights, busted out headlights or taillights, not a big deal. Bumpers missing some pieces, not a big deal. Another busted out taillight, not a big deal. Some dents right here where I'm guessing they ran into a mailbox, but not a big deal. A little bit of issues on the front bumper, again, not a big deal. Other than that, on the interior, here we can see if this is what year this is right now. Yep, April of 02, so it's a 2002. The interior is in pretty good shape, all things considered. The leather's good, everything's good. It needs a good detail, but it just so happens I have a buddy that does detailing now, so not a big deal. Everything looks good. We're gonna need a stereo, but other than that, providing the only thing actually wrong is the engine, which I'm hoping, we should be all right, because I have an engine right there, good to go. This is the 04, running great, by the way, almost. So what is the purpose of this WJ? Why am I fixing it up? Why did I buy it? Those are two different answers. So I bought it because I got the brown WJ with a little lift, and I figured that'd be my trail rig, and I could use a spare parts rig. That was the idea. Squeaky Toy's the dog over in his kennel. Other thing wrong with this is the exhaust. We need a new exhaust, but we'll get there after we know this engine on the trailer runs, which I got from a junkyard in Michigan, and I had them ship it here. So I'm just really crossing my fingers it even runs. But I got this for a spare parts rig. The problem is I got it home, I set it in the driveway, and it drove me crazy that it just sat there. It just sits there. And I was like, well, it's driving me insane. I got to do something about it. I got to make it run. It's a good project. Keeps my fingers busy, keeps my hands cut up. So let's make it run. So that's why we got it. That's why we're putting an engine in it. And what are we going to use it for? This is going to be ultimately, if it runs after the engine's in, my winter beater. So we live here in South Dakota in Sturgis, and I work up in the hills, and it gets a lot more weathery up there than it does here, like quite significantly. So I figure having a beater that can just go in the winter and I don't have to worry about would be good. So that's my goal for this. Once it's running, we'll put some studded tires on it and all this other stuff, and it'll just be my go to work in the winter vehicle. So needed? Probably not. First world problem? Yes, it is. And that's what we're doing. So it is going to be important to keep in mind that I do not know what I'm doing. I'm not a mechanic. I've actually never replaced a vehicle engine before. My brother helped me do a motorcycle engine on my V-Star 1100 Yamaha a while back. That was much less complicated than this, but I don't know that this is going to be much more complicated per se. I haven't really done a lot of research, but from just physically looking at the engine bay, looks like we're going to remove the battery tray, and that honestly looks like about all we have to remove over here. And again, over here we're going to remove the intake, and I don't even know that we need to. It's just might as well. And I think that's all we got to remove over here. This looks really simple, honestly. As far as the front, so the engine goes all the way back to the firewall. So the radiator guard, the radiator fan, maybe yeah, probably we'll just get rid of the radiator, come off. I want to try and leave all this stuff on. It looks like it might be a squishy fit, but it looks like it might actually fit. So we're going to go underneath, we'll unbolt the exhaust, I did ask on one of the Facebook groups if I could leave the headers in place. Pretty much everybody said yes, should be able to leave the headers in place, which I honestly kind of agree with. They don't look like they'll be in the way, but it's kind of hard to tell. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be overly dramatic. So we'll probably remove the hood just to get it out of the way. We'll probably do that first, actually. First, we're gonna jack this up in the air, and I wanna check the undercarriage and just see what it looks like, just for curiosity's sake. Because, well, I mean, if it's absolutely thrashed on the undercarriage, I'm not gonna put the engine in here. I'll leave the engine, maybe I'll get another WJ. There's a lot of WJ sitting around with non-running engines because these engines kind of suck. These are the 4.7s. So if this is absolutely thrashed, maybe I'll put the engine in something else. So we'll see, but let's pick it up first and we'll go from there. It's freaking cold this morning, by the way. My fingers are a little bit icy. I'm actually gonna roll up that door because I don't have anybody here to help hold this. Actually, no, we're good, we got chops. Oh. These are just in case it starts rolling and I can't make my way around to protect the walls, so it won't quite stop before it goes too far. Case neutral, e-brake off. Close the door. See how far we can push this. Oh yeah, pretty nice. I'm gonna go to check that out right there. There we go. There we go. Nice. Yep. Okay. Golino. Okay, again, once we have lift off, just give her a shake. She ain't going nowhere. All right, guys, ready for the first peek? I'm kind of scared because I kind of bought this engine assuming I'd be able to put it in this thing, and if it's trash down here, then I don't know, and I have not looked under here yet. Let's start in the back. Back's usually a better condition, so we don't have to get all scared. Oh, ouch. Okay, so looking in the rear, we'll just start with the springs. Springs look fine. Bracket for the fuel tank actually looks better than the brown Jeep. This A-arm here, or whatever you want to call it, that needs to be replaced, but it's not in dire need. Rubber's ripping, but it's not toast yet. Exhaust, we already knew needs to come off. I had to chop that in order to get this on the trailer because it was hanging. That's not a big deal, we already know. That spring looks good. Axle looks all right. Brakes will probably just replace. Oh yeah, you can see that rust strip right there on the caliper. Brake pads have been hardly touching even when it was running, so we'll take care of that. Looks like somebody already replaced the sway bar bushings. Looks like that might have been an issue a while ago. Control arms, for something with this age, I'm looking at replacing control arms regardless, so those aren't horrible. Brake lines are a little bit getting corroded, but they're not toast yet. E-brake cable looks like it's being eaten through a little bit. That could be something later on. Overall, the back end does not look horrid, so that is encouraging. Let's move forward. So we got drive shaft, rear drive shaft. Oh, cover for the diff, not a big deal. The shocks will be replacing regardless because that's just what I do when I have a new vehicle that's old. Transfer case looks like it's had a leak, which could be concerning. I'm not gonna worry too much about it yet. I can get another transfer case pretty cheap, I think. This is the 247. The mid body actually looks immaculate. I mean, if you look at those frame rails, that's really good. And the tub up here, that all looks really good. The brake lines, so I'm guessing they had it undercoated every season, which is good. Oh, this cross member, nothing too concerning. Transmission mount looks good, but again, even if it wasn't, not concerned. Again, drive shaft U-joints probably take care of at my leisure. They don't look like they need it today. Transmission pan looks horrible though. I don't know if that's from engine oil up there or if it's from the transmission here. That could be a big bummer if the transmission needs to be replaced, but I might be able to get one pretty cheap. So 260,000 miles, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if it needs to be replaced. The pan definitely needs replaced. I'm gonna order a pan before I even get started. But I'm gonna hope that all this is coming from the oil from the engine. It's all down low. Looks like it starts over at the thing, the drain plug, and comes this way. So I think with that, I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope for the best. Probably not the right method, but that's my method. Coming up here to the front differential, this definitely looks like it's been leaking, unfortunately. But you can see this green dye right here. That looks like coolant to me. And when we drained the plug, it was full of coolant. So why there's coolant over here, I'm not entirely sure. In fact, that's really interesting to me. Unless that is oil. Oh, that is diff oil. Look how it beads up on my finger. Okay, so this front diff is definitely leaking. Somebody put green fluid in there, which is weird, but whatever. So, but as long as it's not toast, we're all right. Looks like we're definitely gonna have to do something with that pinion seal though. Looks like that's where it's all coming from. But if the engine runs, I can put it in and I can just keep that full for a little bit until I have time to redo that. Yeah, okay. Moving on. So I'm going to bet somebody's replaced these control arms before because they look really nice in comparison to the brackets they're mounted in. And yeah, I'm not going to be worried about those. That upper control arm, however, up here, that hasn't been touched. Oh, maybe it's just dirty. All right, so that flange right there is where we're going to that flange right there is where we're going to disconnect the exhaust. Same with this side somewhere. Oh man, that's way up there. How the heck do you reach that? That's gonna be a pain in the butt, but these cats are gonna have to come off. We're gonna have to buy a new exhaust, I think. Those look like they've been in there since the beginning. So over here on the front, looks like we got a front axle boot that's ripping, so we might have to address that pretty quick. Tie rods, if we get this running, they actually don't look bad. They just look rusted. So either, oh yeah, they're seized in place though. I can't even twist that. So tie rods probably need to be replaced. And what else do we got in here? Engine mounts, which are typical. That one, oh yeah, that engine mount is shredded. That one's busted out. This one could use a replacement, of course, but there doesn't look like there's any leaks on the front side. But yeah, we'll probably replace a lot of this. Front end knuckle here. A lot of this is surface rust because it's been sitting for a while. So, does it look bad? Depending on what your version of bad is. Is it all replaceable? Yes. Does it all have to be replaced now? No. Tie rods will do, absolutely. Probably ball joints, pretty much anything that swivels. I'll probably replace as soon as I know the engine runs, because from just looking at it, it looks like it's all been kind of seized in place for a little bit. So brakes, tie rods, ball joints, maybe or maybe not the shocks. Definitely that front differential and axle needs some help, and the exhaust, and of course the engine. Brakes, if I didn't mention it. Bearings don't sound like they're graveling too much, which is kind of surprising to me. Oh, I got the e-brake on, but that's not loose. That's not loose either. So what do you guys think? Should we proceed with an engine? I don't know. So I think we will. Interior's in good shape. Worst case scenario, if this engine runs, I can go find another Jeep to steal parts off, like axles and crap. I don't know. Maybe, we'll see. Either way, I want to get something running, and I already have an engine, so this could be a lot of good YouTube videos, guys. You guys want some good YouTube videos? You guys want me to post an engine swap? Not an engine swap like something cool, but an engine swap like, you know, changing out the engine. Sensors we may need to replace. I'm just walking around thinking, sorry. Yeah, so last time this was registered was 2019, so it's been sitting for about 3 years. So not bad, except we're in South Dakota, so kind of bad. But it'll need tires, obviously, but we'll put stubbies on, like I said, studs. So let me think, and then we'll see if we want to start tearing it apart.